Welcome once again to Channel 18, and today we have the Conservation Trust as a guest, primarily because of Thanksgiving. And that brings us up to the mode of this show, which is a Thanksgiving for all of the volunteers who volunteer for Conservation Trust. And we're going to do something about that, right, Michael?
Yeah, it's a great way to introduce this segment, Paul. Thank you. We have a lot to be thankful for at the Harwich Conservation Trust. Everything that happens really is because of the membership support, whether they're financial contributions, annual memberships, year-end gifts, or planned giving, but also the volunteers that make our conservation world go round. There are many different ways that our volunteers make a difference every day, and they're having fun on top of that. And so we're grateful, and this is a way for us to give thanks to them. So maybe we could run through some projects that they're involved in, whether it's habitat protection or wildlife surveys or event assistance or just helping us tell our story. Do you mind?
Not at all.
All right,
it's
well,
a way to go. We've had Family Pantry on, and they have over 400 volunteers.
I know.
So
they do an amazing job there.
They do. Volunteers really do a big job in this.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing.
And
yeah.
so I'm glad that you have a group.
Yeah.
That volunteer for you.
Not quite 400, but we're getting there.
That's right.
Not quite 400.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Well, whatever it is, I'm sure it's loyal and faithful.
Oh, it's amazing. And this time of year in particular, one of the projects that has kicked off and has for the past several years is Boundary Quest.
Oh,
Boundary Quest. Don't you love that? It sounds like a mini-series. So here's some photos you're going to see. They're out there tracking our property boundaries and finding the corner bounds and mapping them. They're using survey equipment like you see there out in the field. This time of year, why this time of year? Because the leaves are coming down and they can have better sight lines. And Matt's been working closely with them as the land stewardship coordinator. It's been fun, right, Matt?
It's always fun. I have to say in general for all the volunteers, very inspiring. That's what motivates me to keep going. To see so many people engaged in their community is really motivating and inspiring. Boundary Quest is one of the big groups. They're helping us out a lot. We have probably 7 or 8 people who regularly help us, and we would not be able to find the bounds or know where our properties are on the ground without them. So a very helpful group.
Yeah, you must have a lot of boundary work, particularly with this new property you just bought.
Yes, that's right. Yes, they're out there as we speak, trying to determine where on the ground these bounds are and appropriately mark them, because we want to be good neighbors too.
Sure.
So and also protect the land that that so many have entrusted us with in this effort to basically protect Pleasant Bay by virtue of preserving this land. So it's great work. We also have events where people are out in the field actually cleaning up our landscapes, our habitats, in particular the beaches.
Yes,
Matt has managed a coast sweep most recently, just about a month ago. And you want to tell us a little bit about that? There's some photos of some folks in the field.
There we go. Yeah, we had a great group again. Probably 20 or so people showed up on a rainy day in September. And we picked up about 250 pounds of trash.
Wow.
Along the Nantucket Soundside beaches. There you go. There's a dumpster full, trailer full. And yeah, every year it's always good to clean up after the summer and kind of refresh the beach. There probably will be more, but we've even been noticing reductions in some common things that used to be very, very prominent, like the little discs from New Hampshire. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but those have gone down significantly. So it's with the help of all the community members that we've been chipping away, getting rid of it off the beach.
And have you found anything of importance in all this trash that you've collected?
Probably not worth keeping.
No.
Nothing worth keeping.
Yeah.
Anything that you should maybe contact somebody about, you know?
You know, one thing that came up was very interesting. A volunteer at last year's Coast Sweep found a horseshoe crab shell with a tag on it all the way from Maryland.
Wow.
So this horseshoe crab had made it up either alive to this ecosystem up here around the Cape, or perhaps expired and maybe its shell fragment got carried on the tides. It's hard to know. But that was kind of interesting, you know.
Right.
I mean, you know, horseshoe crabs are a very important species, and of course they're known as the living fossil. They've been around since the time of the dinosaurs. So every now and then you find something like that. But another thing that we do with the volunteers, or they do for all of us as a community, is protect other inland landscapes. We just heard about Coast Sweep and the beaches, but they're also out at places weekly, actually, picking up trash, roadside trash on our preserved properties.
I saw one of our volunteers on the way in
You
today.
did?
Oh,
Picking
really?
up trash on the roadside.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Oh, good for him.
that's very important as well. So and it gets them outside. They're getting exercise. They're having fun doing it, and it's again a public benefit, community-wide benefit. We also have other citizen science projects where volunteers are actively engaged in keeping track of the nesting success of our bird nest box monitoring program. Eastern bluebird, tree swallow, chickadee, titmouse, and house wren. Look at that bluebird right there. I mean, what a beautiful image. That was taken by Janet DiMattia. She's an extraordinary photographer. We'll get to volunteer photographers a little bit in a little bit, but they're out there at 3 different sites. The Trust's largest preserve, the Bank Street Bogs Nature Preserve in Harwich Port. There's a beautiful tree swallow. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. Bringing some, probably a dragonfly there, it looks like, maybe back to its young inside the nest box. So they monitor about 45 nest boxes at the Bank Street Bogs Nature Preserve in Harwich Port, another dozen at the town's Texera Conservation Lands off Queen Anne Road, and then, of course, at Thompson's Field, about 2 dozen nest boxes. And it's been going on for 8 years or more. And so they're out there from March through early August, monitoring these nest boxes day in and day out, weekly, really. And we're able to track the relative nesting success. Look at the individual feathers on that chickadee. The States bird, black-capped chickadee there. That's extraordinary. That could be a National Geographic Janet DiMattia photo once again. But that's a fun program, and
I did hear on, yes, it was television, about a hawk that had 3 offsprings, and it had a chicken that had caught, a bird, and it came, and the 3 chickies, they were all excited, yapping away, and the bird, I guess it protected him with one wing, and then dropped off pieces of the chicken.
Goodness.
To them. They grabbed it in the air and ate it. And so,
Tending
tending
to
the
his-
chicken, tending your little flock.
Jeez. Yeah, amazing behavior. But there's these great citizen science projects, not only with the bird nest box monitoring program, where they can see behavior, interactions, springboarding off your story there. But also there's our aquatic friends, wildlife, the herring count. Matt is actively involved. You want to talk about that, Matt?
Sure. Actually, we were out, I was with Heinz Proth, the Natural Resource Director, clearing out right where this is, which is along the Herring River. We have some sites, there's some flumes and fish ladders. We count at one of them upstream, and these make their way 7 miles up, and this is their pooling. It's really fun to see in the spring when they're heading up. They wait till the perfect moment, and they springboard up all the way into Long Pond. We had a pretty successful count last year, actually.
You did?
Probably double the number of the year before. Historically, that's still, we don't know what the significance of that is, but quite a fun program. We were out there yesterday digging out the canal with Heinz Proth, Natural Resource Director, and we saw the little fry heading back out.
The juvenile herring.
The juvenile.
Oh, geez. So there we go. I mean, it's fantastic to see that life cycle.
Yes.
The adults migrating in the spring, the juveniles coming back down a little later on. That's great.
So we'll be doing that again. We do it April and May, I believe.
The herring count, you're right.
Herring count, April and May, we had about
There's a
60,
big group.
60 volunteers last year, and it's split. It's a great community engagement. We have probably half the volunteers are from the high school. We work with Rich Houston of now Monomoy High School.
Oh, yes.
And we hope to continue that partnership in the future.
Yeah, so that's a great program. And what you see here is, moving through these photos, and you're going to see some stellar photos in just a second. That's another way our volunteers help us tell our story at Harwich Conservation Trust. And it's just extraordinary, the photography that these volunteers donate, volunteer with us. Look at this photo here by Vince DeWitt. Just extraordinary. This is one of the most scenic trails Harwich Conservation Trust offers at the Coys Brook Woodlands. And that's a fall scene that you might have seen over the past few weeks. It's just extraordinary looking out across the Herring River marshes towards Bell's Neck area. And, Vince took these photos just on a stroll through the woods. And look at that photo with the different colors. I mean, New Hampshire and Vermont may have their maples and their birches and their other foliage splendor, but boy, don't we have some remarkable colors as well. So some crimson tupelos around there. This one by Stephanie Foster, looking out across the West Reservoir at Bell's Neck Conservation Lands, looking north. I love how she framed it with the oaks sort of at the top of the image, and the reeds or the vegetation at the lower part of the image, and then you've got the sunlight. I mean, look at that. It's extraordinary composition. So these volunteers, again, give us these photos, and it allows us to share a very compelling message for land preservation and habitat protection and protecting all of those environmental elements, the combination of which create our quality of life here. So the volunteer photographers, we're thankful for them too. And we'll wrap up here with another part, just one other way that the volunteers make a difference for us and do so many things. They help us with amazing events.
Yes.
Not long ago you heard us talk about the wolf program, right? Or there's the live owl program in the spring, but also most recently we had in September, and I'll let Matt talk a little bit more about this, so the Wildlands Music and Art Stroll.
That's right.
And so you'll see some photos there. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Wow, that's a great picture there. Yeah, we have a lot of volunteers, not only to help out with the event, but all of the artists and musicians. They all volunteered their time to make this quite an event, second annual. And really, look at that picture.
Isn't that amazing? You've got the artist painting the landscape. You've got visitors, attending the Wildlands Music and Art Stroll, watching the artists, enjoying the outdoors at the same time. What you can't absorb from that photo is there's actually live music playing in different places too. The music part of the Wildlands Music and Art Stroll. There you go, Matt. Talk about the piano, huh?
There's the piano, the infamous piano.
Yeah, isn't that great? We actually had the piano here this year, and I have to say, Matt did an amazing job at coordinating this event and working with the volunteer musicians and artists and all the volunteers who helped us coordinate the program that day. There were so many. There's Wild Bill Corney, local Harwich resident. He was fantastic. It made his second annual appearance, volunteering his time. So, yeah, these images are just so much fun. There's just plain folk.
Having a good time.
Yeah, Vince Kraft and his crew just sharing their time and talent with us. Just amazing. So the overall message we share with you and all of your viewers and the community at large is during this Thanksgiving, we have a lot to be thankful for, thanks to our volunteers. Yeah.
Very good.
So
there you have our Thanksgiving report from the Conservation Trust and all of you who volunteer and contribute to these events. We thank you too. And so we hope that the spirit will continue, and next year we'll have more of you. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.